So welcome to the Never Dull Moment. I'm Greg Blythe, and today is 4th of July. I've spent a lot of time outside today with all of my neighborhood. It's actually been a pretty fun day. It's almost hard to believe I'm gonna shoot a video for you. So if you hear some sounds, it might be my dogs barking because, you know, people shoot off their fireworks and the dogs are like, hey, what's going on? But today's episode is actually gonna be about professional knife sharpening. So whether you're getting the service done, whether you're wanting to do the service for a friend, or whether you are actually going into the profession, like all the time. So let's talk about like what's expected as the customer and what's expected from you as the professional, and like how much should you really give them for the dollar per se. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is this is a real customer's knives. It literally came like this. I'm gonna like block the name of the customer and go ahead and take that out. You know, when they bring them, I think I just broke the rubber band. It's kind of dangerous. They wrap them up, and we need to be careful on doing it as they're slipping out. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is assess what we have. And so far, I can tell you that all the steel that we have is a softer steel. It is a Rockwell of 59 and under. So that's going to have a lot to do with the stropping technique. And if you haven't watched the stropping videos by my channel, I'll put a link in the description above. So we want to make sure that nothing falls out on our feet. And we're going to return the knives to the customer, hopefully better than the way they gave them to us. So a lot of you probably do not have stones and progression side by side. That is not expected. If you have the ability to do it, that would make your workflow a little easier. So let me talk about some of the stones we have available. I just recently did a video showcasing the stones by King, and I really had a fun using these for the first time. So I'm going to actually put a link in the description above, and you can see what I thought about these stones. I have a lot of stones available to me, so I'm not necessarily using them today because they've jumped out. I definitely want to keep getting used to them. So we are ready for our workflow. Now, if you only had like one pond or one sink, you would need to go ahead and soak all your soaking stones. I have 2 soaking stones available to me, and they have actually been soaking for longer than the 15 minutes required. And when you put them in, they're going to have bubbles. You'll learn more about like actual soaking stones later. But we have prepped, so we are ready to go. I have a splash and go, splash and go, splash and go. I have all these stones available. So out, I have the King 300, King 1000, King 2000. I have a Tajiro 4000. And then I have the King Super Stone at 6000 and the King Gold Super at 8,000. I got all these out to show you, you do not need the last 2. And honestly, you don't need the 2000. You're probably used to doing a progression for your own knives. It's not necessarily like something you need to do for a sharpening service. It's a lot of extra work, and if you're getting the money, I suggest it. And I would also recommend that if somebody has a high-end, expensive knife, you maybe take the time, but chances are you're probably charging a little bit more for the knife. So the first thing that we need to do is we needed to soak what we needed to soak, and that has already happened. The stones are ready to go. I am not going to work off of one sink bridge today. I'm going to actually have everything set up in progression, so the stones are ready to go. When I go to do these knives, when I saw that they were softer, that has a lot to do with the strop that we're going to use. And so you see that I have a hanging strop behind me. So in the stropping series, you would learn that when you go to do the knives that are like under 60 Rockwell hardness, you're going to need to strop that knife to deburr it. The softer metal, as you're starting to try to take the burr off on the stone, the softer metal itself is actually going to just lengthen the burr. It's going to make it stand up on its end. You're actually going to not get rid of the burr on the stone. Okay, so I have a hanging strop, and one of the reasons I'm using a hanging strop on the softer metal is that you're going to want to, when you're stropping, strop at a higher angle than your sharpening angle. So if I'm sharpening at 15 degrees, I might be stropping at 15.4 degrees and all the way up to 17 degrees. And that's going to really help me rip away the wire edge. So I've already got that ready because all of these knives are German or an American, you know, kind of softer steel thing. There's definitely a collected group. I also happen to have a strop that has diamond emulsion on it. So even though I'm going to do the hanging strop to deburr, I'm going to actually refine my edge on the much harder leather with diamond emulsion. It's going to really refine the apex of the knife. And so what I wanted to show you is nothing is needed higher than a 3,000 or 4,000. We have a 4,000 available. So even though I have this 2,000 available, I'm actually not going to use it. Okay, so I set it up to show you. I even soaked it to show you that it's actually not going to be used today. Okay, so we have the 4,000 available, and all we're going to need is either the 1,000, the 4,000, and the strop for professional grade sharpening, or if it's extremely dull, we're going to use the 300. So the first thing I'd like to do is assess how dull is the knife. I mean, you know, when if you've ever seen Ryan Swanson and the three fingers of feeling the edge, I mean, I'm not afraid of this knife. I mean, you see me doing that. You know, does that mean the 1,000? I want my workflow to be pretty quick. I've actually sharpened these knives before for the client. The client's had them for, I'm going to say 7 or 8 months, and they haven't been sharpened. So I'm going to assume that they're pretty dull. So I'm actually going to save myself some trouble and start on the 300. And if you're new to sharpening, then you know that we have to pick an angle. Now, I did research, and I know that in the last couple of years, Whetstone has switched from the typical 22-degree angle, and they've gone down to 15. So I, over the years, have gotten used to how to hold my hand to do the 15. This knife has a pronounced belly. And so, you know, this video is about like what's required of you as a professional sharpener. So even though I'm giving some sharpening tips, it's not necessarily a sharpening video. We're trying to get a burr on one side of the knife. Now it has a pronounced belly. So you're going to see me doing this curved angle here. And if you hear sounds going off in the video, that is the fireworks for the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to everyone celebrating the 4th of July. Okay. So we need a little bit more up at the front. So I was doing an interview series with Kevin Kent. Now, Kevin Kent is the owner of Knifeware. And one of the things I noticed in one of his videos, and it was like an old video, is he actually deburrs in between every single progression. I've never had to do that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm kind of excited to see what that's like. I'm not going to do it today. I will put a link to the interview up in here so you can check out. Kevin gave us a lot of insight. He told us about some new blacksmiths we didn't know about. He told us about some stuff going on in Japan right now, making knives with the pandemic going on and inflation. Okay, so, you know, we don't want to spend all night doing this. We're trying to make some money, and your prices will vary. Now, if you're a belt grinding sharpener, you're probably cringing at, you're like, Greg, you know, you're taking so damn long. Okay. I have grit on this. I have a bevel on both sides, and I mean a burr that's been on both sides. I do not want to bring the mud off of this stone to the next stone. Okay, so we're flipping that thing back and forth. The burr is flipping back and forth. We want consistency. We'll flip it over. So this is just like my work in progression. Now, I forgot to put like an anti-slip mat below me. I have it available. You should, if you have one of these ponds, like have an anti-slip mat. Just so that way this doesn't rock. We definitely have bubble, not on the tip, so we need to work on the tip. And if you can see, you'll notice that the pond is moving forward with the pushing. I am pushing in a forward motion only, and so that is why it's moving. Okay, so again, I would not want to bring the 1000 grit mud to the next stone. So we are over here on the Tajiro 4000. Okay, now I do finishing strokes with edge leading. So I am still just bending the burr back and forth. We definitely got some fireworks going on tonight. Hopefully you've been celebrating safely together. If you haven't had a chance to see Ryan Swanson, who does this differently, he is a professional knife sharpener in Washington, D.C. He owns District Cutlery. And Ryan Swanson does it with a belt grinder. I'm sure you guys can hear the fireworks going off right now. My dogs are going crazy in the other room. So let's make sure. Okay. And then we'll flip it over. My dogs are like a lot of dogs. They're not like super thrilled when there are fireworks going on. The dogs are overly excited, but we're almost done with the video. So I don't know how long we've been doing this. My dogs are about to kill each other in the other room, I think. Okay, so we have what we want on each side. We're going to finish with edge leading strokes. And you know, if you're an at-home professional knife sharpener, these are some of the things that you got going on. You have dogs that are barking in the background. If you've been with our show for a while, you know we let things organically happen. I'm doing edge lead strokes alternating on the 4000 grit. Okay? So my goal is, I already know I don't have the burr removed. I'm trying to line it up. Okay. So burr removal is going to now happen on the strop. Okay. With that being said, I've got a towel. I really don't want to put a lot of this material on my strop. So the strop I'm going to be using is kangaroo tail. There's a lot of them out there. There's hanging strops with leather. They're made out of a lot of different things. This kangaroo tail has no diamond emulsion on it. So I will show you for the camera right now. You can see that the edge is nice and clean and even. Hopefully I'm able to show that. So let's just go ahead real quick and do, which we got the rough side here. Okay, so putting it on at the same degrees, when I go to pull up, it will actually strop at a slightly higher degree. So again, if you haven't learned about the stropping, I will have, there's several videos for you to do. You can learn about diamond emulsions. You can learn about the different types of strops. You can learn about the different stropping techniques. So right now, we are removing metal. So when this bows, it's increasing the angle. The fireworks here are getting more intense. So we're going to do a couple of passes quickly on the smooth side. And that should be enough. Now, honestly, for the most part, I would say that you technically have done enough. Okay? I have the diamond emulsion. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to do it. Okay. So that was a lot of work. It may seem to some, and honestly, talking about it made it take a little longer than normal. Let's see what we've done for the client. I mean, I didn't even hear that. I mean, that's just gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to push. I've got to make sure I can find a spot. I mean, that was ridiculous. So we have done everything that we need to do without going up into the 6 and the 4. So however long that took, it was a little too long just because we were talking. That is 1 knife down. I have 5 to go. That will be the session for this client. We will not return them wrapped up the way they did because we don't want the metal to join together. One of the tricks you might do is get a manila folder or some cardstock. Take your cardstock and fold it over. Once you fold it over, you would be able to actually staple, protect your edge, protect the client. So that was a quick example of what's expected as a professional. That was a quick example of what's expected as a customer. And if you were doing this and say getting $10 a knife, definitely know you would be able to do these 5 in the hour, if not sooner. And I mean, thinking about jobs today, that is $50 for the hour. It's a pretty good pay, I would say. So hopefully you might be getting more or less, depends on where you are, depends on your competition, but you saw the quality that's expected. The edge, you can see, looks amazing. Knife sharpening does not include cleaning up any scratches that are on here. Resurfacing and polishing is a different fee. I just wanted you to see what you should be able to give the client. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to list all the stones, the pond, the sink bridges that were used today. So if you need to know what you need to get done, you'll know how to find it. Thank you for watching as always. Happy 4th of July. Sorry about the barking and everything, but this is our house. thank you for coming in our home. Hopefully, like I said, it's not at the moment. God bless.